Shalom, shalom, Most High in Christ bless. Happy Sabbath to everyone. Today is October 21st, 2023. We want to say we give all glory and praises to the Most High God. We give all glory and praises to Christ our King. We acknowledge all of the leaders throughout the world, those that are fighting for the cause of so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. The bishops, we acknowledge the deacons, the captains, the officers, the brothers, everyone in their respective place. We acknowledge the mothers, the wives, the daughters, everyone in their respective place we acknowledge. We're going to start with the reading of the law for the next 5 minutes or so. And we're going to get into today's topic. Like, subscribe to the channel, share the footage, reach out to us so that you can be a part of Children of Israel Ministries to help us usher in the kingdom of heaven, to help us do the necessary work to bring about the kingdom of heaven. With no further ado, let's get into the laws. The laws. Ecclesiasticus chapter 39, verse 1. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and be occupied in prophecies. He will keep the sayings of the renowned men, and where subtle parables are, he will be there also. He will seek out the secrets of grave sentences and be conversant in dark parables. He shall serve among great men and appear before princes. He will travel through strange countries, for he hath tried the good and the evil among men.
A man who had running unnatural urinary issue must bring an offering in the temple after he goes to the mikvah, if I said that right, a ritual bath. Leviticus 15 and 13. And when he that hath an issue is cleansed of his issue, then he shall number to himself 7 days for his cleansing, and wash his clothes, and bathe his flesh in running water, and he shall be clean. And on the 8th day he shall take to him 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, and come before the Lord unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and give them unto the priest.
A Metzora, one having a skin disease, must bring an offering in the temple after going to the mikvah, the ritual bath. Leviticus chapter 14, verse 10. And on the 8th day, he shall take 2 he-lambs without blemish, and 1 ewe lamb of the first year without blemish, and 3/10 deals of fine flour for a meat offering, mingled with oil, and 1 log of oil.
Not to substitute another beast for one set apart for sacrifice. Leviticus 27 and 10. He shall not alter it, nor change it. A good for a bad, or a bad for a good. And if he shall at all change beast for beast, then it in the exchange thereof shall be holy.
The new animal, in addition to the substitute one, retains consecration. Leviticus chapter 27, verse 10. He shall not alter it, nor change it, a good for a bad, or a bad for a good. And if he shall at all change beast for beast, then it and the exchange thereof shall be holy.
not to change consecrated animals for one type of offering to another. Leviticus 27 and 26. Only the firstling of the beast, which should be the Lord's firstling, no man shall sanctify it, whether it be ox or sheep. It is the Lord's.
Carry out the laws of impurity of the dead. Numbers chapter 19, verse 14. This is the law. When a man dieth in a tent, all that come into the tent and all that is in the tent shall be unclean 7 days.
Carry out the procedure of the red heifer. That's a per aduma, if I said that right. Numbers 19 and 2. This is the ordinance of if the law which the Lord hath commanded, saying, speak unto the children of Israel that they bring thee a red heifer without spot, wherein is no blemish, and upon which never came yoke.
Carry out the laws of the sprinkling water. Numbers chapter 19, verse 21. And it shall be a perpetual statute unto them, that he that sprinkleth the water of separation shall wash his clothes, and he that toucheth the water of separation shall be unclean until even.
Rule the laws of human Zorah.
Yes, Zoraat.
Zorah. Okay, Zorah is prescribed in the Torah. Leviticus 13 and 12. And if a leprosy break out abroad in the skin, and the leprosy cover all the skin of him that hath the plague from his head even to his foot, whosoever the priest looketh.
The Mitzorah leprosy must not remove his signs of impurity. Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 8. Take heed in the plague of leprosy, that thou observe diligently, and do according to all that the priests and Levites shall teach you, as I commanded them, so ye shall observe to do.
The Mitzorah leprosy must not shave signs of impurity in his hair. Leviticus 13 and 33. He shall be shaven, but the scale shall he not shave. And the priest shall shut up him that hath the scale 7 days more.
The Mitzorah must publicize his condition by tearing his clothes, his garments, allowing his hair to grow and covering his lips. Leviticus chapter 13, verse 45. And the leper in whom the plague is, his clothes shall be rent, and his head bare, and he shall put a covering upon his upper lip, and shall cry, unclean, unclean.
Carry out the prescribed rules for purifying the Mitzorah leprosy. Leviticus 14 and 2. This shall be the law of the leper in the day of his cleansing. He shall be brought unto the priest.
The Mitzorah must shave off all his hair prior to purification. Leviticus chapter 14, verse 9. But it shall be on the 7th day that he shall shave all his hair off his head, and his beard, and his eyebrows, even all his hair he shall shave off, and he shall wash his clothes. Also he shall wash his flesh in water, and he shall be clean.
Carry out the laws of Zorat, leprosy, of clothing. Leviticus 13 and 47. The garment also that the plague of leprosy is in, whether it be a woolen garment or a linen garment.
And we'll start with 451 next time, Lord willing. All right. So today's topic is David and Goliath. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to go through the biblical story of David and Goliath. So some of you, you might be very familiar with the story of David and Goliath. You may have read about David and Goliath in your Sunday church. And now you have come over and you are learning the Bible, understanding that we're supposed to keep the Sabbath day, we're supposed to keep the high holy days, we're supposed to keep the dietary laws. Here we go. We're going to go and learn and reread this amazing story provided to us concerning David and Goliath. Let's start with 1 Samuel. Let me pull this up. 1 Samuel, we're going to read verses 1 through 5. 1 Samuel chapter 17, we want verses 1 through 5.
All right, this is the book of 1 Samuel chapter 17 and verse 1. Now the Philistines gathered together their armies to battle, and were gathered together at Shakach.
Shokah.
Okay, which belonged to Judah.
Okay.
And pitched between Shakach, if I say that right, and what's that word?
Azekah. And Ephes Damim. Keep going.
2. And Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together and pitched by the valley of Elah, and set the battle in array against the Philistines.
Let me read, please. 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 1. Now the Philistines gathered together their armies to battle, and were gathered together at Shokah, which belongeth unto Judah, and pitched between Shokah and Azekah in Ephes Damim. And Saul and the men of Israel were gathered together and pitched by the valley of Elah, and set the battle in array against the Philistines. Okay, so they're in battle formation. So when it talks about array, they were in formation to surround the enemy. Verse 3. And the Philistines stood on a mountain on the one side, and Israel stood on a mountain on the other side, and there was a valley between them. And there went out a champion out of the camp of the Philistines named Goliath of Gath, whose height was 6 cubits and a span. Now, a cubit is about 21 inches, might be 18 inches, 21 inches. So if you take 6 times 21, that's 6, that's 8, 620, 131 inches. So he was about 10 feet tall, 10 and a half feet tall, give or take. He was about 10 feet tall. Okay. Verse 5. And he had an helmet of brass upon his head, and he was armed with a coat of mail. Coat of mail is a metal, it's links of metal that make a body armor suit. Okay, it's a body armor suit that's made of links of metal. Coat of mail, and the weight of the coat was 5,000 shekels of brass. Okay, so this was a big man, Goliath. This was a massive man. Now, I want us to write this down, because Goliath is a Philistine. So Goliath is a Philistine. I want you to write down, who are the Philistines? Who are the Philistines? Okay. Let us go to 2 Samuel chapter 21. Verse 16 through 22. I'll read it. 2 Samuel chapter 21, verse 16. And Ishbibnob, which was the sons of the giant, the weight of whose spear weighed 300 shekels of brass in weight, he being girded with a new sword, thought to have slain David. But Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, secured him. He got him. Okay, Abishai got him and smote the Philistine and killed him. Then the men of David swear unto him, saying, thou shalt go no more out with us to battle, that thou quench not the light of Israel. And it came to pass after this, that there was again a battle with the Philistines at Gob. Then Sibbecai, the Hushathite, slew Sab, which was of the sons of the giant. And there was again a battle in Gob with the Philistines, where Elhanan, the son of Jariorregim, a Bethlehemite, slew the brother of Goliath, the Gittite, the staff of whose spear was like a weaver's beam. And there was yet a battle in Gath, where was a man of great stature, that had on every hand 6 fingers, and on every foot 6 toes, 24 in number. And he also was born to the giant. And when he defied Israel, Jonathan, the son of Shimei, the brother of David, slew him. These 4 were born to the giant in Gath, and fell by the hand of David and by the hand of his servants. Okay, so I want you to put down sons of the giant. Sons of the giant. Sons, Philistines, because that was the question that I told you to write down. Who are they? Sons of the giant. Now, go to Genesis chapter 6, verse 4.
The book of Genesis, chapter 6 and verse 4. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the Son of God came into the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown.
So these giants, there were giants in the earth in those days. Okay, there were giants in the earth in those days. There were giants in the earth in those days. Go to Numbers. Numbers chapter 13. We're going to read verse 28 through 33. Let me read it. Here we go. Numbers chapter 13, verse 28. Nevertheless, the people be strong that dwell in the land, and the cities are walled and very great. And moreover, We saw the children of Anak there. Write that down. Children of Anak. Children of Anak. The Amalekites dwell in the land of the south, and the Hittites and the Jebusites and the Amorites dwell in the mountains, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea and by the coast of Jordan. And Caleb stilled the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it. But the men that went up with him said, we be not able to go up against this people, for they are stronger than we. We just said that Goliath was approximately 10 and a half feet tall. Okay. Massive individuals. Verse 32. And they brought up an evil report of the land, which they had searched unto the children of Israel, saying, the land through which we have gone to search it, is a land that eateth up the inhabitants thereof. And all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature. So all these men are massive. Verse 33. And there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which came of the giants. And we were in our own sight as grasshoppers. And so we were in their sight. Why? Because the Israelites were of average height. 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", going up against men that are 10 feet tall. So that's like, basically, here you have an average height man going up against basically two men standing on top of one another. That's who you fight. That's who David was fighting. David, standing normal height, was going up against a man that was as if two men standing on top of one the other. Okay. So giants. Now, here we have this. So here we have the Amorites, the Amalekites, the Hittites, the Jebusites, the Hivites, the Girgashites. And so the Philistines are these individuals all right here in this green. Okay, all throughout this green, we're going to see these are Philistines. Okay. Right here where it says Philistia, this is where they are currently fighting right now today, October 21st, 2023, the Israelis and the Palestinians. Okay? There is Gaza right there. Okay? Now, go to Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 28. Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 28. Whither shall we go? Our brethren have discouraged our hearts, saying, the people is greater and taller than we. The cities are great and walled up to heaven. And moreover, we have seen the sons of the Anakims there. There it is again, the sons of the Anakims. So when they came into the land, they saw the sons of the Anakims in this region here that my cursor is moving about. Okay. All right, so let's continue. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 2. And we're going to start at verse 10. Deuteronomy chapter 2. Start at verse 10. It reads, the Imims dwelt therein in times past. The Imims dwelt therein in times past, a people great and many and tall as the Anakims, which also were accounted giants as the Anakims. But the Moabites call them Imims. So here we see that the Anakims are called the Imims. These are the giants. These are the giants. Genesis chapter 6, verse 4 said that there were giants in the earth. Go to Genesis chapter 14, verse 5. Okay. Genesis chapter 14, verse 5. And in the 14th year came Chedorlaomer and the kings that were with him, and smote the Rephaims and Ashtoreth, Karnaim, and the Zuzims in Ham, and the Amims in Shava, Kirathaim, right? So here we see the giants. We see the giants right there, Amims. We see the giants right there. Okay. Now, let's go to back to Deuteronomy chapter 2. And then we're going to go to verse 20. Deuteronomy chapter 2, verse 20. That also was accounted, let me start there. That also was accounted a land of giants. Giants dwell therein. Forgive me. I'm going to back up to verse 18. Deuteronomy chapter 2, verse 18. Deuteronomy chapter 2, verse 18. Thou art to pass over through Ar, the coast of Moab, this day. Okay, so where do we see the coast of Moab? Look back at the map. So here we see the coast of Moab right here. This whole brown, this is Moab. And so we see right here at the Dead Sea, okay? So these folks would have been in this, they covered this area. Here's Edom down here in the south. Here's Edom in the south. Okay, let's go back to Deuteronomy chapter 2. And verse 18. Thou art to pass over through Ar, the coast of Moab, this day. And when thou comest nigh over against the children of Ammon, distress them not, nor meddle with them. For I will not give thee of the land of the children of Ammon any possession, because I have given it unto the children of Lot for possession. That also was accounted a land of giants. Giants dwelt therein in old time, and the Ammonites called them Zamzumim. So looking back at the map, okay, let me move me out the way. So here's mine right here, this blue. So the Philistines, they covered all of this. They covered all of this. The Canaanites were up in here too now. But as far as the Philistines go, this was their region. This was their region. Okay, here's the mine right there. Okay. And verse 21. A people great and many and tall as the Anakims. So the Zamzumims, these are large people, just like the Anakims. But the Lord destroyed them before them, and they succeeded them and dwelt in their stead. Okay, so now let's go back to Genesis chapter 14, verse 5 once again. Because notice this says here in verse 20, write this word down. The Ammonites called them Zamzumims. Zamzumims. Giants dwelt there in old time. And the Ammonites called them Zamzumims. Zamzumims. Okay. With that in mind, go to Genesis chapter 14, verse 5. Okay. And it reads, and in the 14th year came Chedor Lomer, and the kings that were with him, and smote the Rephaims and Ashtoreth, Karnaim, and the Zuzims. Okay, so these are giants. These are giants in Ham, and the Ims are Imims in Shaviv. These are giants. Okay, these are giants. Now, go to Deuteronomy chapter 3, verse 11. Deuteronomy chapter 3, verse 11. For only Og, king of Bashan, remained of the remnant of giants. Og, king of Bashan, remnant of giants. Behold, his bedstead was a bedstead of iron. Is it not in Rabbath of the children of Ammon? 9 cubits was the length thereof, and 4 cubits the breadth of it, after the cubit of a man. So his bed was 9 cubits in length. So we've got 9 times 21, it's 126. It too was about 10 feet long. Divided by 12, 10 and a half feet. Okay. 4 cubits. Okay. So that's 21 times 4 divided by 12, 7 feet wide. So 10 and a half feet by 7 feet was this man's bed. That's a large bed. That is a large bed. Okay. Now, write down this word right here. Rabbath, Rabbath. Rabbath. Let us go to 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 26. And Joab fought against Rabbah of the children of Ammon, or Ammon, I'm sorry, and took the royal city. Okay, so Rabbah is of the children of Ammon. And we saw that right up here. Okay, and we even see a city called Rabbah right there. We see where the city was right there. Okay, now go to Deuteronomy chapter 9, verse 2. Okay, Deuteronomy chapter 9, verse 2. A people great and tall, the children of the Anakims, whom thou knowest, and of whom thou hast heard say, who can stand before the children of Anak? Why? Because these individuals are massive. You're fighting someone who is twice your size as an average man. Like literally twice your size. Because if you stand in 5'10", you know, I'm 5'11". I'm 5'11". So Goliath and the other man, Rabbah, well, his bed was 10 and a half feet long. So here you're fighting against there was no Goliath. They said was 10 feet, 10 and a half feet was Goliath. So almost double. If you take 5'11", one more inch, that's 6 feet, and you double it, it's 12 feet. So he was 2 feet shorter from being double my height. Okay. All right. So these individuals, one last time, here we're talking, these are the giants. These were the giants. Okay. These were the giants. Right here, Ammon, with Rabbah, along the coast of Moab, right in here where it says Kadesh Barnea, right in there. These were the giants. These were the giants. Okay. Now, write this down. Where they dwelt, kind of showing you already in this map, but write that down. Where they dwelt. Where they dwelt. Let's go to Genesis chapter 21, verse 32. Genesis chapter 21, verse 32. It reads, thus they made a covenant at Beersheba. Then Abimelech rose up, and Pichol, the chief captain of his host, and they returned into the land of the Philistines. Okay. And Abraham planted a grove in Beersheba and called there on the name of the Lord, the everlasting God. And Abraham sojourned in the Philistines' land many days. Okay, so where's Beersheba? We see Beersheba right here along the red track. Right here, Beersheba, right there. So what are we looking at? So the Philistines occupied this. They occupied this. The Canaanites were here and in the coast of up here, right here, where my cursor is Zidon and Tyre. This is the coast of Tyre right here. Okay, and then you had the Amorites. All right. So here are the Philistines, which they come out of Ham. Philistines are Hamitic. The Philistines are Hamitic, meaning we would call them Africans today. All right. Go to back to 1 Samuel chapter 17. And 1, 17 and 1. Okay. Now the Philistines gathered together their armies to battle, and were gathered together at Shekar, which belongeth to Judah, and pitched between Shekar and Azekah in Ephes Damim. Okay. That's not what I wanted. What I wanted was this right here, verse, where it says, and Goliath of Gath. That's what I wanted. He's a Philistine named Goliath of Gath. Goliath of Gath. Go to 1 Samuel chapter 27, verse 4. Okay. And it was told Saul that David was fled to Gath, and he sought no more again for him. Now, where that is, where David fled, bear with me. Okay, I'll show you where he fled to. Let me show you where he fled to. He fled to I didn't have time to send this to myself. Bear with me, good people. There we go. So right about here. That region. I'm gonna zoom out so we can see better. But let's say that spot right there. Okay. So right there, here is Gaza, where the fighting is taking place. This dot right here is where David fled when he was running from King Saul. Here is Hebron. Okay, this is where King David, when he first became king, this is where he went to. But this is where he went to when he fled away from King Saul. Okay, right here, right here. Okay, and here's Jerusalem right here. There's Jerusalem right there. Let me move me out the way. Okay, so here's Jerusalem. This is where he fled to. And okay, here's Hope. Is that no? All right. Okay, so now let's go back. Let's go back to 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 6. Okay. And he had greaves of brass upon his legs, and a target of brass between his shoulders. And his staff that we're talking about, we are speaking about Goliath, how he was dressed up in his war apparel. Verse 7. And the staff of his spear was like a weaver's beam, and his spear's head weighed 600 shekels of iron. So let's see what a shekel. So it says the sanctuary shekel would then equal 0.4 ounces. 0.4 ounces, or it would be 12 grams. Okay, so let's go ounces to pounds. Let's do ounces to pounds. Well, let's do grams to pounds. And we need 600 times 12. So 15 pounds, 16 pounds is the weight of this man's that's the weight of his spear. So he's constantly holding 16 pounds. That gets heavy after a while.
Mm-hmm.
That gets heavy after a while. And he's throwing that, he might throw it, he's throwing it as a javelin. He runs to it to retrieve it. He's fighting with it to plunge at his enemy with. That's nonstop. And we want what is the usual weight of a spear? Spears tend to be the lightest pole arms, often weighing between 3 and 6 pounds. So we are accustomed to 3 to 6 pounds. This man is accustomed to 16 pounds. That's a big man. That is a big man. Okay, go back to the scriptures.
Like throwing a bowling ball plus.
Yeah. So verse 8. 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 8. And he stood and cried unto the armies of Israel and said unto them, why are ye come out to set your battle in array? Am not I a Philistine, and ye servants of Saul? Choose you a man for you, and let him come down to me. If he be able to fight with me and to kill me, then will we be your servants. But if I prevail against him and kill him, then shall ye be our servants and serve us. And the Philistine said, I defy the armies of Israel this day. Give me a man that we may fight together. Okay. Go to look at the attitude of Goliath. He says, I defy the armies of Israel this day. Go to Proverbs chapter 16, verse 18. And it reads, pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. So this brother was cashing checks that his derriere, no, he was writing checks. I'm sorry. He was writing checks that his derriere could not cash. Okay. Go to Jeremiah. Go to Jeremiah chapter 9, verse 23. Jeremiah chapter 9, verse 23. Thus saith the Lord, let not the wise man glory in his wisdom, neither let the mighty man glory in his might. Let not the rich man glory in his riches. Why? Because all these things come from the Lord. You're full of knowledge and wisdom. Guess what? The Most High created the moment for you to have the luxury of time so that you could fill yourself with knowledge and wisdom to understand how things work. And then he gave you the wherewithal, the mental wherewithal, so that you could comprehend these things. You're a mighty man, you're strong, you got strength. The Most High gave you that strength. Just like he did with Samson. Okay? You're a rich man, like Amatheus, who paid for the tomb of Jesus Christ. The Most High provided you with all these various blessings. So never you say, look at me, look at me, look at me. Because when you start moving like that, you're moving with a whole nother spirit that does not come from the Lord. Okay. Go to Job chapter 40, verse 9 through 12. Job chapter 40, verse 9 through 12. Job chapter 40, verse 9. Hast thou an arm like God? Or canst thou thunder with a voice like him? Deck thyself now with majesty and excellency, and array thyself with glory and beauty. Cast abroad the rage of thy wrath, and behold everyone that is proud, and abase him. Look on everyone that is proud, and bring him low, and tread down the wicked in their place. So David is going to bring Goliath down. And we have got to be that way. We have got to be the arm of the Most High God, used to be used by the Most High God. Okay? Go to Psalms chapter 9, verse 4 through 5. Psalms chapter 9, verse 4 through 5. Okay? For thou hast maintained my right and my cause. Thou sattest in the throne, judging right. Thou hast rebuked the heathen. Thou hast destroyed the wicked. Thou hast put out their name forever and ever. And that's what we have to do. Yet this day, all this wickedness, we have a job to get out there and to spread the information. Not misinformation, not fake news. We have got to bring the truth. We got to spend our time doing our homework throughout the week. And then when we learn, we don't learn just for ourselves. We learn for the benefit of our people, of our nation, the children of Israel. Okay? Now, go back to 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 11. 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 11. When Saul and all Israel heard those words of the Philistine, they were dismayed and greatly afraid. Write that word down, dismayed. Write that word down, dismayed, D-I-S-M-A-Y-E-D. Dismayed. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 8. Deuteronomy chapter 31, verse 8. And it reads, "And the Lord, he it is that doth go before thee. He will be with thee. He will not fail thee, neither forsake thee. Fear not, neither be dismayed." You see that? It says the Lord will go before you. So all of these giants, your boss tell you to come to work on Saturday, your boss tell you you can't get someone to work for you, all these giants, look what he says. He will not fail thee nor forsake thee. Fear not, neither be dismayed. We have got to have confidence in the Lord. We don't let some man cause us to fear. Well, I don't want to live there because all them white people. Every nick and cranny, nick, how you say it, nick and cranny?
Yeah.
belong to the children of Israel. Every nick and cranny belongs to the children of Israel. Nook and cranny. Okay, thank you, sir. All right. We exercise wisdom. Don't be no fool and go out there and start a fight you can't win. Right? That I'm sidetracking right now. I apologize. Luke. Go to Luke chapter I'm digressing. Bear with me as I digress. Let's go to Luke chapter 14. And we're going to start at 28. It reads, "For which of you, intending to build a tower, sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish?" Huh? You're going to build something. You're going to purchase, you're going to make a huge purchase. And you don't sit down and consider the cost? You don't sit down and consider, okay, how long is it going to take me to pay for this? Is this going to be a 5-year investment, a 20-year investment, a 30-year investment? How old am I now? Okay. Doesn't sit down and count the cost. Verse 29. "Lest haply, after he hath laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that behold it begin to mock him, saying, This man began to build and was not able to finish. Or what king, going to make war against another king, sitteth not down first and consulteth whether he be able with 10,000 to meet him that cometh against him with 20,000. Right? So Joe Biden goes to Israel this past week. Why? So they could talk about, okay, let's think about this. Do we want to, I don't want you guys to invade Palestine. I don't want you to go in there and to occupy Gaza. I don't want you to do that because you know, we have made a pledge to you that we got your back. And if you do this, other nations, the Arab nations, they're going to get involved, and it's going to get out of our control. So they sit down and calculate how far we can go. How far can we take this thing? Okay. So my point is, back to Deuteronomy 31:8, right? It says, fear not. So I'm telling you, don't be afraid. And I'm telling you, the Bible is telling you, count the cost. You know, we have to make calculated decisions. We have to make calculated decisions. We have to search the scriptures to receive instruction from the Lord. We have to make calculated decisions. Okay? Go to Proverbs chapter 28, verse 1. The wicked flee when no man pursueth, but the righteous are bold as a lion. You dealing with a scary cat all the time? You got to sit back and ask yourself, is this man or woman in the midst of wickedness? Because God said, I did not give you a spirit of fear. So if God didn't give you a spirit of fear, where'd you get that spirit from? You got it from your daddy, the devil. You got it from your daddy, the devil. Because God said, I didn't give you a spirit of fear. So it says the wicked flee. Why are they fleeing? Because they're afraid. The wicked flee when no man pursueth, but the righteous are bold as a lion. That's how the righteous move and operate, bold as a lion. Lions don't care. The lions do not care. They're going to come at you. Now, they make calculated moves. Lions make calculated moves. They get out of dodge if that bull if that bull is coming at the lion. Those of you who watch different videos of animals, especially lions and so forth, watch them videos, and you will see that the lion, he gonna come up, and his curiosity, his bravery, his courage, it will cause him to approach, very strange situations. But if he figures, wait a minute, this ain't working in my favor, he will retreat and take a different path. That's the move of a lion. Okay. Go to Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. Joshua chapter 1, verse 9. Have not I commanded thee? Be strong and of good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed. For the Lord thy God is with thee, whithersoever thou goest. This is what the Bible tells us. And he says, I commanded this of you. This is a commandment. Be strong and of good courage. Don't let another person punk you, fear you out. We make calculated decisions. We make calculated decisions. Not because we retreat don't mean that we scared. We retreat because we've made a calculated decision. We've assessed. But we ain't afraid. We've assessed. Christ, he assessed. When you read the openings of all four of those books, and it says in Christ, the people was to stone Christ, and Christ, left and went into another town. Christ made calculated decisions. He knew that he had to give his life. He knew that, so he wasn't afraid. Or I should say it rather this way. He knew what he had to do. But when they was going to come against him and throw bricks at him and throw rocks at him, he knew that wasn't the way it was supposed to go down. He made calculated decisions. Okay? Now, go back to 1 Samuel. No, go to Psalms chapter 27, verse 1. Go to Psalms chapter 27, verse 1. It reads, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When we know this, as David says, who shall I be afraid of? If we really believe this, and the thing is, we have got, my Bible is torn up, but okay, whatever. We have got to study this thing and study this thing and study this thing so often, so frequent, that even in your dreams, you ward off wickedness. In your night visions, you ward off vision. Let me tell you, Elder, last night, real talk. This example though, this talking point is just coming to me right now. But last night, I had a dream. that I had some rice, and it had pork in it, and I had eaten it. And I had eaten it, and it wasn't until I had eaten it, I didn't eat all of it. Like I took I took a forkful or what have you, and I was like, wait a minute, right? And I looked at the meat, and I was like, this ain't beef, this is pork. So I tell the guy, I was like, hey, and I could tell he was just kind of a regular worker or whatever. So I'm yelling for the cook, which was a woman, or she was the owner, or I don't, and these were Asian people too, right? These were Asians. I'm like, this is pork. Why you give me pork? I'm going in. I don't eat pork. I'm going in, right? But that's in my night vision. So even in your night vision, you have got to devour this thing so frequent, so day in and day out, as it is told to us in Deuteronomy, that you ward off wickedness even in your night vision, in your dreams. Okay? Now, go to 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 12. Now, David was the son of that Ephrathite of Bethlehem, Judah, whose name was Jesse. And he had 8 sons. And the man went among men for an old man in the days of Saul. And the 3 eldest sons of Jesse went and followed Saul to the battle. And the names of his 3 sons that went to the battle were Eliab, the firstborn, and next unto him Abinadab, and the third Shammah. And David was the youngest, and the 3 eldest followed Saul. But David went and returned from Saul to feed his father's sheep at Bethlehem. And the Philistine drew near morning and evening and presented himself 40 days. That's what Goliath, 40 days taunting them. And Jesse said unto David his son, take now for thy brethren an ephah of this parched corn, and these 10 loaves, and run to the camp to thy brethren, and carry these 10 cheeses unto the captain of their 1,000, and look how thy brethren fare, and take their pledge. Now Saul and they and all the men of Israel were in the valley of Elah, fighting with the Philistines. And David rose up early in the morning and left the sheep with the keeper, and took and went as Jesse had commanded him. And he came to the trench as the host was going forth to the fight, and shouted for the battle. For Israel and the Philistines had put the battle in array, army against army. And David left his courage in the hand of the keeper of the carriage, and ran into the army, and came and saluted his brethren. And as he talked with them, behold, there came up the champion, the Philistine of Gath, Goliath by name, out of the armies of the Philistines, and spake according to the same words, and David heard them. And all the men of Israel, when they saw the man, fled from him, and were sore afraid. And the men of Israel said, have ye seen this man that is come up? Surely to defy Israel is he come up? And it shall be that the man who killeth him, the king, will enrich him with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Israel. And David spake to the men that stood by him, saying, what shall be done to the man that killeth this Philistine and taketh away the reproach from Israel? For who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God? You see the courage that David had? David was on another level. David like, who the hell is this man? Who he think he is? That was the attitude of David. How dare this Philistine, this uncircumcised man, this heathen? That was the attitude of David. And sometimes that's how we have to be. That's how we have to be. Our courage needs to be as such. I won't even say sometimes, all the time. That's how our courage needs to be. Verse 27. And the people answered him after this manner, saying, so shall it be done to the man that killeth him. And Eliab, his eldest brother, heard when he spake unto the men. And Eliab's anger was kindled against David, and he said, why camest thou down hither? And with whom hast thou left those few sheep in the wilderness? I know thy pride and the naughtiness of thine heart, for thou art come down that thou mightest see the battle. Little boy, what you come down here for? Who's taking care of dad's sheep? Get your butt back home and take care of the family business. Basically that's what Eliab was doing to David. And he turned from him toward another and spake after the same manner. And the people answered him again after the former manner. And when the words were heard which David spake, they rehearsed them before Saul, and he sent for him. Right? So word got to Saul. Yo, this young dude right here, he is willing to go out there and fight Goliath. And David said to Saul, verse 32, and David said to Saul, let no man's heart fail because of him. Thy servant will go and fight with this Philistine. And Saul said to David, thou art not able to go against this Philistine to fight with him, for thou art but a youth, and he a man of war from his youth. And David said unto Saul, thy servant kept his father's sheep, and there came a lion and a bear, and took a lamb out of the flock. And I went after him, and smote him, and delivered it out of his mouth. And when he arose against me, I caught him by his beard, and smote him, and slew him. David said, this Goliath, he ain't no different than a lion. How big is a lion? Because a lion will stand about 10 feet likewise. How tall do lions stand? Somewhere between 5'9" and 6'9" is the height of a male lion. 5'9" and 6'9". That's that. Okay. And they're strong. And they have those claws.
Mm-hmm.
How much does a male lion weigh? 330 to 550 pounds. Okay. Now, so David was like, listen, I fought a lion and a bear. You think I'm afraid of this Philistine? I ain't afraid of him. Verse 37. Verse 36. Thy servant slew both the lion and the bear, and this uncircumcised Philistine shall be as one of them, seeing he hath defied the armies of the living God. David said, moreover, the Lord that delivered me out of the paw of the lion and out of the paw of the bear, he will deliver me out of the hand of this Philistine. And Saul said unto David, go, and the Lord be with thee. And Saul armed David with his armor, and he put a helmet of brass upon his head. Also, he armed him with a coat of mail. And David girded his sword upon his armor, and he essayed to go, for he had not proved it, all of the attire that he had on. He said, I can't move around in this. And David said unto Saul, I cannot go with these, for I have not proved them. And David put them off. He says, look, I just need to go in the clothes I got on. And he took his staff in his hand and chose 5 smooth stones out of the brook and put them in a shepherd's bag, which he had, even in a scrip. And his sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistine. Okay. And the Philistine came on and drew near unto David, and the man that bare the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth and ruddy and of a fair countenance. You send this little pretty little boy out here for me? That's what you did? What? And the Philistine said unto David, am I a dog that thou comest to me with staves? Because David has a staff in his hand. So Goliath is like, oh, you gonna beat me like I'm a dog, huh? You little twerp. You gonna beat me like I'm a dog? Boy, I'm gonna tear you, I'm gonna rip you in half. I'm gonna tear your head off of you. Right? Okay. Verse 43. And the Philistine said unto David, am I a dog that thou comest to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. And the Philistine said to David, come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air, and to the beasts of the field. Then said David to the Philistine, thou comest to me with the sword, and with the spear, and with the shield. But I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. This day will the Lord deliver thee into mine hand, and I will smite thee and take thine head from thee, and I will give the carcass of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. And all this assembly shall know that the Lord saveth not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands. And it came to pass, when the Philistine arose and came and drew nigh to meet David, that David hasted and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand in his bag and took thence a stone and slang it and smote the Philistine in his forehead, that the stone sunk into his forehead, and he fell upon his face to the earth. So he went down face first. Okay. So David prevailed over the Philistine with the sling and with the stone, and smote the Philistine and slew him. But there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore, David ran and stood upon the Philistine, and took his sword, and drew it out of the sheath thereof, and slew him, and cut off his head therewith. And when the Philistines saw their champion was dead, they fled. And the men of Israel and of Judah arose and shouted and pursued the Philistines until thou come to the valley and to the gates of Ekron. And the wounded of the Philistines fell down by the way to Sharaim, even unto Gath and unto Ekron. And the children of Israel returned from chasing after the Philistines, and they spoiled their tents. And David took the head of the Philistine and brought it to Jerusalem, and he put his armor in his tent. And when Saul saw David go forth against the Philistine, he said unto Abner, the captain of the host, Abner, whose son is this youth? And Abner said, as thy soul liveth, O king, I cannot tell. And the king said, inquire thou whose son the stripling is. And as David returned from the slaughter of the Philistine, Abner took him and brought him before Saul with the head of the Philistine in his hand. And Saul said to him, whose son art thou, thou young man? And David answered, I am the son of thy servant Jesse, the Bethlehemite. Okay, so this lesson is teaching us several things. One of the biggest things is we are not to be afraid of the giants that stand in our way. The Lord will fight our battles for us. He is our buckler, he is our sword, he is our shield. And he does so when we are walking in righteousness. That is how we please the Lord, by walking in righteousness. Okay, we hope that you got something great out of this lesson, and share this video. Subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed to the channel. Leave your comments in the field below, and we will see you next time. Shalom, Most High, and Christ bless to each and every last one of you.